Tēnā koutou te whānau o Auckland Unitarians. Tēnā koutou ngā manuhiri. No mai, haere ki tēnei whare karakia a te atua. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Now the right response from you all is kia ora. Welcome to holy ground for Auckland Unitarians. It's been that for 116 years. It has been brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into communal story. We take on the pride and pain of our companions. As separate selves become community, how desperate is our need for one another. Our silent beckoning to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into our own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and in this place. If you are a guest or a visitor just passing through, curious, or seeking a spiritual home, we are honored by your presence and hope you will join us for a cuppa at morning tea. We're not known for having sacraments, but one of our sacraments is the sacrament of hospitality. This morning, as we celebrate Pride Month, I especially want to welcome our speaker, Frances Arns. Raise your hands so they know who she is. Executive Director of Rainbow Youth. Rainbow Youth is a national organization based on providing support, information, advocacy for young queer and gender diverse people up to the age of 28. Additionally, they have services to support their friends and whānau of queer and gender diverse youth, as well as their schools and others that work with them. At Rainbow Youth, they're about fostering a safe, inclusive, accepting, and diverse family environment. Their motto is, know who you are, be who you are. Welcome, Frances. During this Pride Month, we affirm with joy that we are proud. We're proud to be lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, and questioning. We're proud to have survived and thrived despite challenges to our dignity, well-being, and sometimes even our lives. We're proud to be heterosexual and cisgender allies. We're proud to live and work in solidarity with our LGBTQI friends and family. Together we build the beloved community. And those we love have been judged, mistreated, assaulted. But we are here and we are proud. And we and those we love have been stereotyped and have faced discrimination. But we are here and we are proud. We have seen those we love beaten, sometimes to death. But we are here and we are proud. We are together and we are proud. And together we build the beloved community. Watch as it grows among us, even now. We light this chalice to remind us that love is a choice. Love is a stand. But once we accept love as a choice, then we must also come to terms with where that choice leads us. If love... You can't hear it? Sorry. If love comes from that mystery, some call God, then there can be no exceptions. Love cannot be just for one or some of us. It is for any of us. It must be for all. Love cannot cannot be just for those with loud voices, but also for the voiceless. Love cannot be just for those with power, but also for those who are marginalized. Love cannot be just for those who still hope, but also for those who despair that help and hope will ever come. May this flame give us the heart to stand on the side of love. I'd now like to invite Frances to come forward and to share with us her experiences working with Rainbow Youth.
Kia ora koutou. Ko rangitoto te maunga, ko Waitamata te awa, ko Christian Arns rawa, ko Amanda Thompson o Kumātua, ko Frances Arns tōku ingoa. Nā mihi mai oha, kia koutou katoa. I'm Frances Arns, the Executive Director of Rainbow Youth. I'm really stoked to be speaking here this morning. Thanks, Clay, and everyone for inviting me. The Unitarian Church, as I understand it, has always been a great supporter of Rainbow Youth and of the LGBTI community, and it's really awesome to see that relationship continuing. It makes me really happy to see two groups like ours that have come from historically separate backgrounds coming together to support and grow community. It makes me particularly happy that Pride this month gives us a platform for these connections and conversations each year. Pride has always been a significant time for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer, LGBTIQ+, or rainbow community. It's going to be a celebration for and of our community. It's a really fun time for many of us to go out and celebrate the progress that's been made and enjoy some events that have been specifically created for our community. Spaces that have been designed with us in mind, which is something that isn't all that common, which makes it really special. We've had some great events run this year. We've had a young person, Jasmine, who we've mentored and supported to create and run 3 events for us. It's been really cool to see her grow, and it's awesome to see young leaders like her in our community. On a different note, Pride is also a time when the rainbow community has a louder voice. We have people listening to us. We have a microphone. It makes it a really important time for us to create conversations about the many challenges that still exist, particularly for young, queer and gender diverse people. Before I continue, I just want to clarify the official language that Rainbow Youth uses. You've probably heard a few different terms, so LGBT, LGBTIQ+, rainbow, takatapui, other terms I'm sure. So we use queer and gender diverse as all-inclusive terms to refer to people with diverse gender identities. So, for example, people who are transgender or non-binary gender, so they don't identify as male or female, and people with diverse sexualities. So that would be people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, just to name a few. There's quite a few. So the Rainbow Youth website is also a really great resource if you want to understand more about the different terms and identities that exist, but I'm also happy to answer any questions if that would help. So, thinking again about the issues that still exist for young queer and gender diverse people, when compared to their straight cisgender peers, so people who identify as the gender that they were assigned at birth, our young people are at a much higher risk of suicide, mental health issues, bullying, alcohol and drug problems. To give you more of an idea of the challenges that still exist for our young people today, we know that homelessness is a massive issue. In Aotearoa, around half of the homeless population is under 25, and up to 40% of those young people identify as intersex, queer or gender diverse. So putting that into perspective, we expect around a quarter of our homeless population intersex, queer or gender diverse youth. That's pretty big. From American research, we also know that up to 26% of queer and gender diverse youth are kicked out of home when they come out. Unfortunately, we don't have comparable New Zealand-based data, but that gives you an idea of how hard it still is for young people to come out to their families. We also know that transgender youth face huge barriers within our healthcare system. Almost 40% of transgender young people in Aotearoa have been unable to access healthcare when they need to. Half of transgender people have said they've had to teach medical providers about their healthcare needs. 42% of transgender men have experienced verbal harassment, denial of equal treatment, or even physical assault in a doctor's office or hospital. I should note again that these are all based on American research, but through anecdotal evidence in our work with transgender people, we understand that these trends translate into New Zealand as well. Finally, we know that queer and gender diverse youth have a really hard time at school. Transgender young people are 4.5 times more likely to be bullied, at least weekly, than their cisgender peers, and they're 5 times more likely to have attempted suicide in the last year. Same or both sex-attracted young people are 3 times more likely to be bullied at least weekly when compared to their heterosexual peers. So that's a lot to take in. It's pretty sobering information. But I want to add as well that having said that, from working alongside these young people every day, we also know that they are resilient, passionate, self-aware, and incredibly strong. It is a credit to our young people that they persevere. As I'm sure many of you know, Rainbow Youth is working to support and enable these young people to overcome the barriers that they face, with the ultimate goal of eliminating the overrepresentation of intersex, queer and gender diverse youth in negative health statistics, like I've just talked about. One of the key services that we provide, and is really the foundation of Rainbow Youth, is our peer support groups. So peer support has been proven to have hugely positive impacts for marginalised groups, particularly in reducing feelings of isolation and increasing social networks. We've currently got 11 peer support groups running around the country, which is the most that we've ever had, from Whangarei all the way down to Dunedin. These groups are all run by young people that we train in their safe, inclusive spaces for young people to spend time and meet other like-minded young people. All of our spaces are drug, alcohol and smoke-free. Some of the other services that we provide include information. So we create and distribute resources on a variety of topics. We have a queer and gender diverse library, and we also support research projects where we can as well. Advocacy. We advocate on behalf of queer and gender diverse young people wherever they face discrimination. We also lobby both local and central government about issues affecting our community to try and help create change. We've got drop-in centres in Tauranga and Auckland. Our Tauranga one just opened last year, which is really cool. So these are safe spaces to hang out. We've got free Wi-Fi, couches, tea, coffee, and these are, of course, drug, alcohol and smoke-free spaces. We also provide support. So we've got a qualified youth worker on our team, and they provide one-on-one support to young people and also to their whānau, which is non-judgmental and free. And we also provide referrals onto other services when needed. Consultation. So we consult on policy, procedures and services that affect queer and gender diverse youth and the wider community, hopefully for a fee where possible. We also then finally do training and youth development. So we provide CV references and we do training for our volunteers for things like first aid, crisis management, facilitation. I would really encourage you to let any young people in your lives or in your community who might be questioning their gender or sexuality to come and have a chat with us or hang out at the drop-in centre. Or if you just want a bit more information, we can do that too. All of our services are underpinned by our values, which include respect for the diversity of peoples everywhere, loyalty and respect for others' opinions, youth operated, we're for youth by youth, confidentiality, the principles of te tiriti o waitangi, and, as Clay mentioned before, to know who you are and be who you are. So one of the values that's particularly close to my heart and to many others in our community is that we're for youth by youth. many of our young people start their journey with Rainbow Youth when they're questioning their gender or sexuality. They come along to one of our peer support groups to meet other like-minded young people who might be going through something similar. From there, they often become more heavily involved in the group and want to take on a leadership role. So they do our facilitator training and they become a facilitator for that group, creating a space for young people who are in a similar place to where they were a year or two ago. Many of our facilitators then go on to become interns or staff members, or even members of the Rainbow Youth Executive Board. Our board is made up entirely of young people aged 13 to 27, which carries its own challenges at times. But they're all passionate about supporting and uplifting intersex, queer and gender diverse youth. A great example, actually, of someone who went through this is one of our staff members, Chloe. So she was one of our most troublesome young people. She created a lot of chaos in the groups, and we even had to kick her out of the centre a couple of times. She's now a bookkeeper. She's probably one of our most reliable staff members and just one of the many young people that we've seen come out the other side. The values that I've just talked through have been at the heart of Rainbow Youth for our 29 years. But in saying that, we've got a really exciting new strategic direction. Late last year, we developed our first 3-year strategy, and we're really excited about getting started on that this year. We've recognised some key truths about our organisation, and we've also heard the voices of young people in our community. Our strategy is about leveraging our skills and the skills of other community organisations to maximise our impact. We know that young people in remote, rural areas of Aotearoa are having a really hard time, and they need support. We also know that we don't have the resources or capacity to be in every part of Aotearoa, but we can work with other youth and community groups to make sure that there is support available and there are other people in their community who understand what they're going through. Another important thing for us is acknowledging the role of digital interactions in our work. Rainbow Youth has always been about providing face-to-face support, and we want to help create community and connection, and we found that has been done best in person. So we've always relied on physical spaces for that. But that approach, as I'm sure you're all aware, isn't enough anymore. We need to figure out how we can deliver the connection and community for young people who want to interact with us digitally, especially as an organisation working with a generation of young people who are digital natives. Another thing that we really want to build over the next 3 years is more of a data-driven approach to our work. One of the main challenges with this is the fact that there's no data on our community. I'm sure many of you have heard about gender and sexuality not being included in the census this year, which is a real disappointment for us. A lack of data is a real barrier for us understanding and also evaluating our work, as well as proving our case and our need to funders, and that's one of the key challenges that we face around securing funding for our work. So I think that's enough about who we are and where we're going. I hope that has shed some light on our community and on how Rainbow Youth supports young people. I want to thank you again for inviting me here today and also for your continued support of us. It's relationships like this that lead to stronger communities that are more resilient and that help our young people to flourish. I look forward to working together in the future and towards our vision of the acceptance of the diversity of gender and sexuality in Aotearoa. I would just like to finish with a whakatauki that I think is really relevant to what we're sharing here today. Nāku te roro, nāu te roro, ka ora ai te iwi. Which means with your food basket and my food basket, together the people will live. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. If anyone has a question they've always wondered about the community or wanted to know something I didn't cover off, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or to elaborate on anything that I mentioned. when I spoke. Preferred personal pronouns in terms of for gender. Yeah, that's a really, really great question. Thank you for asking that. So I, as you may have noticed, have this T-shirt on. So our whole campaign this year has been around language matters and why language is important. So it's particularly important, like you've kind of picked up on there, to gender diverse people. So particularly for our young people who may not have started transitioning yet, they probably appear confusing to you about which gender they are, because they'll often still appear with the gender they were assigned at birth. So I think what's really important is to just ask what pronouns people prefer. No one's going to be angry at you for getting it wrong, and especially if you ask and if you do get it wrong and they correct you, apologise, move on. The main thing for our community is people just being aware of that and being open to change. And if you do, meet with someone or come across someone who you think might be gender diverse, I think the best practice is just to ask what their pronouns are. And perhaps on the back of that as well, for people who are non-binary, so they don't identify with male or female, they prefer to use they, them pronouns, which can be pretty tough to get your head around. And I know that one of my flatmates has started using they, them pronouns, and it took a while for me to get my head around that, but it's really important just to respect that, people know what their own identity is, and if they ask you to use they, them pronouns, that's the only way in English that we have of giving visibility and respect to that gender identity, and it's really important that we use that. Does that answer the question? Cool. So this woman has just asked about whether we have any housing services available for LGBTI young people who are homeless. So the short answer is no, but the long answer is we have some really exciting projects in the pipeline. So one thing that has really come to surface in the last couple of years is the huge issue of youth homelessness and the overrepresentation of LGBTI young people within that. And so as a result, we're seeing a lot more attention from local and central government. So we're working with the Auckland Council at the moment to hopefully recruit someone who is going to be employed by Rainbow Youth, but they'll work with LifeWise and other housing providers who are working to give housing to young people to make sure that they're Rainbow competent. So that's going to be a really awesome piece of work for us, and we're looking forward to hopefully having some more inclusive and safe housing for our young people. Something else that we're looking into is exploring the idea of a rainbow house. So that would be, specifically for queer and gender diverse young people, and it would be a community environment. As you can imagine, it's quite a big piece of work for us, something we haven't done before, but very exciting. There's heaps of things you can do. So I think visible support of the Unitarian Church for our community is awesome. At an individual level, I think intervening, I'm sure, you're aware with the concept of the bystander and their role in encouraging, well, not encouraging, but facilitating homophobia and transphobia. And if you witness someone making jokes about people being trans or, what's all that palaver about or things like that, I think intervening and just kind of gently, bringing to light that actually transgender people have valid gender identities and, it's real that people don't identify as male or female. It's okay to love whoever you love, regardless of their gender. I think that's really important. And again, respecting people's pronouns and asking what their pronouns are. Oh, cool, good. I think, one of the most important things is just asking questions, and being open to change, and which it sounds like everyone here is, and that's really encouraging and awesome to see. Any last comments, questions?
Well, thank you, Frances. Next time you come back, I want to hear about the journey from becoming a banker for working with Rainbow.
Yeah, let's do another story.
For my closing words, O God of many names, the personal and the mysterious, we have come to a quiet time, an interior place, a place for the deepening of the spirit, the enrichment of the soul. We seek to know ourselves by knowing you. Let us have the courage to sit in the unknowing, to look for the answers, even if they are to sit with our own questions, to be willing to be authentic with ourselves, to be ready to bring our face to the world. Let us be willing to know others by welcoming their genuine features, by welcoming them into the world, by appreciating the beauty that comes from seeing wholeness and truth. Let us sit in that quiet depth as we listen to our postlude.